Carolyn Leavitt had a rough day at work, and that's saying something, considering her entire role seems to be spinning stories for the Trump team. But even at that, she's not very effective. The administration has shifted its narrative on the Epstein scandal so many times that even their own spokespeople can't keep the story straight. At today's press briefing, Carolyn Leavitt completely lost control. She raised her voice at reporters, cut the event short, and stumbled over her words when pressed on one particular Epstein-related question. That was the moment everything unraveled. We'll break down exactly what happened and why it matters. But before we get into it, please take a second to hit the like button. And if you're new here and enjoy our coverage, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps support the channel. Now, before we dive into the question that caused Leavitt's meltdown, let's start with how the press conference opened when she was confronted over Donald Trump making light of domestic violence. Take a look at this clip right here.
As I said earlier as well.
Okay, thank you. And yesterday the president spoke about DC crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, you know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital. We all know that deep inside you all agree with this because you all live here, and I'm sure you are very grateful for the administration's efforts to make the city, which we all reside in, much safer for ourselves and our families. Michael.
While there are countless questions that need to be asked about Epstein, I'm actually glad the reporter began with that one directed at Carolyn Leavitt. It completely undercut the narrative the Trump team is trying to sell, that Donald Trump supposedly cares about crime. Later in the press conference, Leavitt even claimed that Democrats don't care about Epstein's victims or about crime in general, and that only Trump and Republicans do. But if that's the case, why was Trump joking about domestic violence? That alone makes it clear he doesn't take crime seriously. On top of that, Trump himself has a long record of scandals and allegations that undermine that talking point. So no, Carolyn, that line isn't fooling anyone. And you went ahead and said it anyway, right before being confronted with the issue of Trump's check.
You addressed the crime of Irina Zurika, and the president has done a lot to deliver justice for victims of crimes like that horrific stabbing. And the Epstein files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes, and that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States. We have seen this time and time again. Ro Khanna and all of these other Democrats, they could have cared about those victims 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office. They could have pushed for transparency then. Unfortunately, the Democrats are using victims as political pawns to try to smear and to push a hoax against the president of the United States. And I will get you numbers on the amount of child predators that this administration and this FBI and this Department of Justice have locked up under President Trump's leadership. We have done more than any president to protect victims of crime, especially disgusting, heinous sexual crimes, and that includes the deportation of illegal aliens who are perpetrating these crimes against innocent victims in our country right now today, and that remains a top priority for this administration.
She is just terrible at this. Carolyn Leavitt can't even decide which version of the story she's supposed to stick with because Donald Trump has shifted the narrative so many times. Just the other day, we even heard Mike Johnson claim that Trump was working as an FBI informant. So which is it? At the same time, they say the Epstein files are a hoax. They also claim Trump was secretly involved in an operation to gather information on Epstein. Those two things can't both be true. And that's exactly why Leavitt couldn't answer this question. She was cornered by the contradictions before we even got to the moment that completely broke her.
Thank you. I want to follow up on something you said. You said the Epstein documents are a hoax that Democrats are perpetrating against the president. You've said he didn't sign that check, that he didn't sign the birthday card that he allegedly signed. So what is the theory, since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Who is I guess in your view, faking these documents?
I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said the entire narrative surrounding Jeffrey Epstein right now that is absorbing many of the liberal cable channels on television is a hoax that is being perpetuated by opportunistic Democrats like Ro Khanna and the others whom you saw on that press conference outside of Capitol Hill who are trying to push this hoax against the President of the United States.
What exactly?
So the documents aren't a hoax, but we don't need the documents because they're not real, but they are a hoax. But also, the Democrats don't care. But the Democrats want to get the documents because they do care about not caring. Carolyn Leavitt can't even tell a lie correctly. She's going to spout out a bunch of talking point soup, talking point blah, but it doesn't really amount to much, especially when the evidence is so crystal clear that Donald Trump was not only best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but it was well regarded by everyone around him. We see in this photo a picture of Trump giving Epstein a check for a depreciated girl, which Leavitt was asked about right here.
Follow up on immigration.
Thanks, Caroline. One of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check that was made out to him in the check from the president for $22,000 for a fully depreciated woman. I wondered if the president has any recollection of that, or what you guys make of that photo that was included in those documents.
Did you see the signature on that check? It is not Donald Trump's signature. It is absolutely not. The president did not sign that check.
But does he recognize
Jordan,
the woman?
go ahead.
Thank you,
No.
Caroline.
How gullible do they think people are? Sure, Trump's team might believe his base will accept anything, but the general public knows better. Donald Trump's signature is one of the most recognizable in the world, maybe second only to John Hancock's. Not only is it distinct, but Trump has shown it off for years, scribbling it in oversized marker for cameras to see. So when Carolyn Leavitt tries to argue that, oh, that's not really his handwriting, it's almost laughable. This is the defense they're rolling with? That Trump doesn't doodle, so it can't possibly be him? That's their big counter-argument? It's weak, it's embarrassing, and it doesn't hold up. What's even more important is that the focus on the handwriting distracts from the real issue, the check itself, which was overlooked in much of the reporting. This wasn't just about a photo of Trump and Epstein. Other Trump associates were connected to it too, people around Mar-a-Lago who seemed to be in on the joke. And the question is, why were Trump and Epstein's activities so widely known within those circles that people laughed about it? Were they part of it? The reality is, Trump wasn't just friendly with Epstein. There are signs of something far deeper and more troubling. Yet the official defense boils down to that's not his handwriting. And Carolyn Leavitt kept trying to push that narrative in this clip right here.
About the Epstein case, would the White House support a professional handwriting expert review of the document released yesterday to prove that it's not the president's signature?
Sure, we would support that. And in fact, I have already seen many forensic analysts of signatures coming out. I believe it was the Daily Signal that published a piece with 3 separate signature analysts who said that this absolutely was not the president's authentic signature. And we have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. Following up.
You don't need forensic experts to recognize Donald Trump's handwriting. The man has been signing his name the exact same way for decades, big, bold, and in Sharpie. Anyone who has ever seen it knows it instantly. And yet here we are, with MAGA trying to claim that this isn't his signature. It's honestly shocking they think this argument will hold up. This is the level they've sunk to, arguing over handwriting as if that somehow erases one of the most serious scandals in presidential history. That's their defense. A flimsy, almost laughable attempt to say, well, maybe it's not really him. But if you want proof that the Trump team is panicked, look no further than what they're clinging to right now. Handwriting. A signature that is so obviously his, so unmistakably his, that even Lawrence O'Donnell broke it down last night to make it crystal clear.
One working for Donald Trump tells them to refuse to believe their eyes. And as I told Rachel, I have my own entry to offer in the Trump handwriting samples. In the second week of January in 2016, I got my one and only note from Donald Trump. It was a handwritten note, and he signed it, "Best wishes, Donald." Just the first name, just like the birthday letter. It was a very friendly note that I received from Donald, as he put it, Donald Trump. And it was almost generous, and I say almost generous because it included a contribution to my favorite charity. But the check Donald Trump sent me was from the Donald J. Trump Foundation, which we now know was operating so fraudulently that it is no longer allowed to operate in the state of New York and has been disbanded. The Donald J. Trump Foundation, according to an investigation by Attorney General Letitia James, was filled with money that did not come from Donald Trump. And so if Donald Trump made a rare contribution from the Donald J. Trump Foundation, it usually wasn't his money. The Trump check that he sent was for $10,000. It was from the Donald J. Trump Foundation. And on the show that night, I told the story of receiving the check from a presidential candidate and how surprised I was that it came from someone who up to that moment had been publicly attacking me for 5 years, first for calling him a liar in 2011 when he opened his mouth about President Obama's birth certificate, and many times after that. By the time Donald Trump's friendly note arrived with that check, he'd already called me in various tweets one of the dumber people on television, dopey, a fool, and many more such things. And back when I was accurately predicting the exact day when Donald Trump would announce that he was not running for president against President Obama in 2012, Donald Trump tweeted,
"This isn't up for debate. It's not up for dispute. The truth is clear. It's obvious, and it deserves to be talked about every single day, and that's exactly what we'll keep doing on this show. And let's be honest, Carolyn Leavitt has once again shown just how unprepared she is for this job. If you want to support our work, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I will see you soon.